kind of at that level where like it's either make or break. Either we go to zero or we're going to an 8-9 figure company. There's no in between. We need to find a way to nicely transition this person out of the company, right?
We all have skeletons in the closet. Not looking at those skeletons, that doesn't make them go away. Every system that we had broke. It was devastating. It was so hard. And I just had to tell people, like, I'm going to get this fixed.
Welcome back to the 8-Figure Agency Show, where a successful entrepreneur and a soon-to-be successful entrepreneur help you build an 8-figure agency by documenting our successes and failures. Gary, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. This week is absolutely crazy. I had a conference last week. The conference was amazing. I got tons of referrals. I even had some referrals for you. And it was just like pouring over with opportunity. But this week's nuts because I go on vacation soon. So I have 10 podcasts. I have about 10 sales calls, 10, 11 sales calls, millions of dollars on the line, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to have energy for it all because I'm getting old. So, it's good. These are good problems, right? These are the kind of problems that you want.
Yeah, and it's funny. I don't know what it is about this week or the month of July, but kind of similar position for me. While I don't have millions of dollars on the line yet, it's been a crazy week. It has been absolutely nuts, and it's only Monday. It's 1 p.m. on a Monday right now, and it has been nuts already. The week is like packed with stuff, and we've got a couple podcasts to shoot. I know we're doubling up this week as well, but yeah, it's going to be a really exciting week. I'm glad to hear it's going well for you, Gary.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're developing, getting our sales team all built out right now, and I'm just recording all these sales calls to help them along the way. We've already documented the whole sales process, so I'm excited to get that off the ground. And I'm also starting to work on a lead gen funnel system for us that I'm really excited about. I got a really talented young man. I don't know if I can share his name or not, but he's helping us with a lot of the inbound stuff, and I'm super stoked about that. I'll be sharing more about that when we launch that.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Listen, that sounds like a great opportunity, and I'm really excited to see where things go. I know it's a big pivotal moment right now for you, so I'm really excited to be there to see how that kind of all happens. And it sounds like this week is really transformative in that happening. So a lot of exciting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, before we get into it, it's going to be a pretty hot episode. A lot of pivotal things to discuss. You know, I'm at a point where there's a lot of things happening, and I need to make sure that I don't drop the ball, right? Because it's kind of at that level where like it's either make or break. Either we go to zero or we're going to an 8-9 figure company. There's no in between. So it's one or the other. And I want to make sure that I hit the 8-9 figures rather than going to zero. That's very important to me. But before I get there, guys, please stop what you're doing right now. Leave a review for the podcast. We've been getting a couple more reviews come in, and it means the absolute world to me. But I want more people than my mom and grandma to review the podcast. So please, if we provide you even an ounce of value, go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts, leave a review. If you're a person who prefers watching on YouTube, go ahead.
Yeah, also, if you voice message us on Instagram, we'll share it on the show. So we'll shout you out on the show. We did it last time, and we're starting to get some traction, get some viewers. So if you want to be shouted out, you want to hear your name called out and your agency called out, just shoot us a voice message on Instagram or leave us a review on one of these platforms, and we'll shout you out.
100%. Yeah, you can reach us at the 8-Figure Agency Show on TikTok. Shoot us a message there. We'll be sure to check it out. I'll personally check it out. We will shout you out. And again, if you are the type of person who likes watching on YouTube, then please subscribe, hit the notification bell. Guys, new episodes every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And when there's not a new episode, we've got clips going up daily on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. So check us out there. With that said, that's all we ask. We don't sell anything like that, and there's other links in the description that might be all of value to you. If you guys, are so inclined, check them out. Otherwise,
yeah, check out our Instagram page. I'm on there fighting with people all the time. So
that's a funny story. You guys should go check. There's literally like a 35 comment long thread of Gary just going at it with somebody. It was very funny. It was like exactly a week ago too, like last Sunday. It was very funny. But yeah, guys, with that said, we're grateful for your time. Thank you for being here. Let's get right into it. Today we're going to be talking about not dropping the ball. That's really where we're at. So for some context, right, Gary, previously, team is at 7 people now. It's at that kind of pivotal moment where I'm kind of starting to see, you kind of called me out. We're like, dude, you have no why that's outlined. You have no core values. I did that. So now it's a lot easier for me to see who's actually, following these core values and who's following the why and who isn't. So like now I'm like, okay, someone's got to go, right?
See, and so that's as much for you as it is for everybody else, right? So because you didn't have a framework to look at, so that's huge that you have that now, and then it also allows your team to fall in line with that as well.
Yeah, and so here's where the problem comes in, right? I'm starting to notice certain things that are like, hey, this isn't going to work, and like I know it, like I knew it a week ago. I was like, okay, we need to find a way to, nicely transition this person out of the company, right? Unless something radically changes, which hopefully it does, but if it doesn't, that's what has to happen. Problem is, we're growing so quickly and we're scaling so quickly, I can't let anybody go until I have 1 to 2 people to fulfill the job that they're doing now. So we're kind of having a hiring issue, right, at that aspect of it. I guess really that's for some added context, but the biggest problem of it is, as we're scaling, as we're growing, it's not even that. Problem is, I'm dropping the ball. Right? I don't think I'm dropping the ball as a leader, but I'm dropping the ball that I have so many things happening at the same time that I'm like losing track of like really tiny details, but they're tiny details that are really, really important. So I wanted to come here today to you, Gary, and get your advice on what you think the right next step for me is. I'm assuming it's to hire somebody. I just don't know who that would be.
So where's the anxiety coming from?
Probably potentially dropping the ball by losing clients because I miss like due dates for certain clips, or like I'm missing like this client requested something specific for this show and we didn't even do that because I completely forgot to tell the editing team, like that kind of thing.
So it sounds like you need support around account management. Is that right?
Well, I don't know if it's account management because I enjoy dealing with all the clients. I think I do that really well. It's one of my strong suits, at least now while we're smaller. Maybe more so like a producer, like managing the videos. Like I know what needs to get done, but I just need one person who I can go to say, hey, this needs to be done, and they can then delegate to each individual person what needs to be done.
I don't know if that would have fixed your problem though, because you're on a meeting with the client, right?
Well, what do you mean?
So you're on a meeting with a client. Let's pretend I'm a client, and you and I are talking back and forth, and I say, hey, I need this special thing done, and you're like, all right, got it, and then you don't relay that information. A producer wouldn't fix that problem.
So the problem is, it's not that I'm not relaying the information, because that's not the biggest concern for me. The concern is when I relay the information, seeing it through is the problem, because then I have 7 other things that come in that I already have relayed to them, and they don't know what to manage.
So that sounds like a system problem.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
So if you're saying, hey, I need A, B, and C done, and you relay that information, and A, B, and C doesn't get done, and you have to handhold it all the way through, that's a system problem.
So you're saying, well, let's go a little deeper there, because I'm not sure if I'm understanding how it would be a system problem. How would a system fix that? Because if I'm not there to make sure that it gets done, because it's not even that it's not getting done, it's the fact that by the time I even relay that information, 7 new things have come in that need to get done as well. So I drop the ball by not keeping track of who's doing what when, and I keep piling onto the plate, and then they start missing stuff, and then I have to, realize
that's 100% systems. Yeah. So if your team can't delineate what projects are in the queue, what order they're in of importance, like which ones go first, second, and third, and then which projects are, the high priority, low priority, all that kind of stuff. And they don't understand what the projects actually mean. You have to come in and explain it over and over and over again. That's all just systems. That's all just one big fat system problem.
So what kind of systems would be the solution to the problem I'm facing?
Well, so here's the thing is that I'm not like the best at these, right? Like that's not my strength. That's not my suit. So what I would do is instantly get somebody who that was their strength. And so I'm really good at just going on a sales call and being like, hey, here's the cool stuff that I saw on the sales call. Now you guys take care of it. Amazing at that. Following it through and making sure, at every step of the way, that's so boring, right? Like that's the most, not only is it boring, but it's like, why can't you guys just figure this out?
Yeah.
Once I realized, oh, it's the system that's not providing clarity for them and it's setting them up for success. It's not setting them up for success. That's what actually where I was really able to grow. And like when I say grow, I mean massive growth. So the system in my brain should be, okay, Derek, if you want to be the account manager, well, actually, you know what you should probably do before you even do this? You should write out your org chart, your dream org chart. So last time we wrote out all your core values and your why and all that kind of stuff. Now I want you to write out your org chart, and I want you to put you're the CEO, and then but just put CEO there. Don't put your name.
Okay.
But then down below the CEO, you have managers, you have editors, you have all these different positions. I also want you to fill in positions for everything, like account managers, everything. And then I want you to write your name that you're wearing on every single that you're working in. Okay. And what you're going to see is you're working too many departments, right? Which is normal.
Yeah.
That's normal. So because when you start, it's just you. So you write your name in every single one of them.
Yeah.
And it's never too early to do this, by the way. And then what I want you to do is then say, okay, well, what one of these do I need to get out of to help our company, right? And so you're going to need to start hiring and building systems. So the reason you do this now rather than later is you literally go into each of those positions that you want to get out of, because you overcome a lot of the systems, right? Like you don't need a sales system right now because you are the sales system, right? Yep. Which is fine. That's fine for right now. But like right now, there's these interconnecting through the departments that are breaking because you don't have the time to handhold it and be the system, right? That's why it's breaking, is because you don't have a system. And so what you need to do is you need to write your name on each one and then go into each of those with a project manager. So that would be my next hire if it was me, but might have different anxieties than you. I'd take this project manager and I say, okay, we're going to work through this process. I'm going to get the thing from the sales call or the account management call. And then this is what I want built in ClickUp or in whatever project management software that you use. And then this is what I needed to do in step 1 and step 2 and step 3. And this is the desired outcome. And they'll build you this beautiful process that will allow you just to put that information in, and then it will go all the way through. And then you need to do that for every seat that you're sitting in, have that system built out as you exit that seat. And then you need, by the time you're done building that system, then you're ready to bring somebody in.
Okay, that's really interesting. Okay, so you're saying to solve the headache that I'm facing and the fact that I'm kind of dropping the ball by not keeping track of everything properly, which is failing my team, I'm failing them, sit down, write out an org chart, put every single department. Like in my case, it would probably be like, video editing. We have the manager for the video editors. We have the producer who manages the manager, like all that stuff. We've got the account management team, and we've got the head of the account management team and everybody else, like the VAs who are posting that stuff. We've got me at the very top, and then we have, the 2 or 3 people or one person now who's like with me by my side, who like come with me to make all these other decisions and whatever that looks like. Okay, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And we have sales and marketing, and then I know that I'm basically sales and I'm basically marketing right now, give or take. Once I have that done, bring in a person who's good at systems, say, hey, listen, today we're going to look at this. What do we need systems-wise and checklist-wise for this person to succeed? Okay, we know that we need A, B, C, and D to be done when it comes to video editing. Like, how do you edit the video? Where do you put the video? Like, what do you do with all that information? Then once we have that...
So even simpler, I would just let them ride shotgun with you all the way through the process.
To just let them follow me for basically a day.
Yep. Follow you for a day or two through the process, all the way through the process. Because and even if they can't follow you, like if there's conflict, then just record all your calls and record all your actions through that. Because here's what's going to happen. They're going to come back to you and they're going to say, Derrik, we need a lot more structure around this. And you're going to be like, no, that's the easy part. Because you just know it in your head, and they're going to go, yeah, it's easy to you, but nobody else in the company understands what in the world you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what's happening. Like, I mean, I'll give some more context. Like, for example, I was on the call with, and I don't know if I should name the client or not, but I mean, you know who this is. He's part of the mastermind, and I work with his company, and I completely dropped the ball. Like, we were supposed to be posting daily, and I didn't even realize that I literally didn't share the right folder with my account management team, so they didn't fail. I failed them because they didn't have everything that they needed, even though I was like, guys, I gave you everything. Why isn't it working? And today I found out, dude, we don't have it. I was like, whoa, like that's a problem. I should have been notified about this, but like I dropped the ball, because if they would have had it when I was supposed to send it to them, this would have never happened in the first place. It's stuff like that. And on a bigger level where if that compounds itself, I will lose the clients.
Well, let's stop there. So let's not talk about losing clients yet. So if Derrik, the CEO, can drop the ball like that, is it possible that if you hire another 18-year-old or 19-year-old to help you, that they can drop the ball in the system that you have right now? Well, absolutely, because you care more than anybody in the whole world, right? So it's not a matter of caring or being sharp or not sharp or any of that kind of stuff. It's a matter of the system is not supporting the way that it should be. And so when you take a step back and then think of it that way and then have somebody come through that system with you, it will provide a lot of clarity for your team and for you. It'll help you big time.
Got it. So I'm going to go write an org chart. I'm going to build out the systems with that org chart by bringing somebody in. And then once I have that, hire the people. I guess where my head goes, the next step, and I think this is a little bit more tactical and we can provide more value to the people listening. What about, so when you have that done, when I get there, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to hang up today when I'm done with all my meetings for the gym. This is what I'm doing. This is very important. So what would you say when it comes to bringing in the right people, once I have those systems, where do you recommend a person in my position, the agency size that I'm at, turns to? Like, where do I go?
Well, yeah,
Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Corey at Team.
Yeah, I think definitely Team. We've been using Team, and we use them, and yeah, I know you use them, and they've been doing a great job. And really, what they have a corner on the market on is they can get you remote workers who are in similar time zones as you, and there's not a language barrier. And so Corey's been able to really create a lot of people who can really fit that niche. The problem is when if you were to hire somebody in the United States to do it, you're going to be paying $5,000-$6,000. You got taxes, you got a lot of other things on your table, and you're going to need some people like that eventually. But right now, that would just backbreak you, right? So what you can do is you can get a project manager or someone to come in who can fill that same void at the same level for like $1,000 without the taxes, right? Because you're hiring them overseas, and they're in the same time zones, and they speak. There's not a language or cultural barrier. So that's huge, and so that's what we've been using. I know you've been using it, and I work with several other agencies, same thing. So that's definitely where I would go with that, with where you're at right now.
Got it. I mean, listen, that makes total sense, and I think I have a lot more clarity on it. But I guess the next thing I would have to ask you, Gary, what should I be aware of as I go through this process? Because, I mean, it's going to be very transformative. This is, again, like, it's really make or break, unless maybe I'm not seeing it the right way. But from my perspective, where I'm at right now, it's like if I don't do this right, it risks the whole company. Because if we keep dropping the ball, I mean, it's a problem. What do you think I need to be aware of? What might I be missing?
Yeah, what I would do is I would just stop looking at it through that lens and start looking. It's true, the lens is true. So you can continue to look at it that way, and it'll create urgency, which is good for you. But what I would look at it as is like, where am I trying to get to, and what am I going to learn through this journey? And the main thing that you're going to learn through this journey is anybody without the right systems can fail. Right now, if I brought you in the best salesperson right now in the whole world, would that solve your problem? Well, yeah, it'll solve your problem for a while, right? Like, they'll come in and make sales. You won't need any system for them. They'll just knock it out of the park. But then there's going to come a point where then they need systems, right? And the truth of the matter is, what best salesperson in the world is going to come into a company without systems, right? So it's like chicken and egg, right? You want the good people, you want the quality people, but you don't have the systems to support those quality people. So you have to build the system, then you bring in people, and then you're going to see that you need to rebuild those systems, right, to get better. And then you're going to bring in higher quality people, right? This is how the game works. And this is just business. This is totally normal. And if the problem didn't happen, then you wouldn't be fixing it. So here's the dirty secret about business. We all have skeletons in the closet. Not looking at those skeletons, that doesn't make them go away. They're still there, right? If you don't open the closet, your closet's still dirty, right? So it's great. So when you have mistakes like this that happen, it's just reframing them. It's like, you know what? I'm really thankful that this happened because this allows us to get better. Here's how we're fixing it to ensure it doesn't happen again. It's totally on me. Give them something, you know what I mean, to make them happy. So that way they know that you're working on it. And then you're growing, right? Without failure, you're not going to grow. If everything went perfect last week, we wouldn't be having this conversations to grow. So don't let this sandbag you into the ground, so to speak.
Oh, yeah, and I hope that that's not how it's coming across, because I didn't want it to feel that way, because that's not how I feel. Like, and I know, Gary, you and I spoke about this off camera before we started recording, but, like, I've been up today since 5 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I was, like, working on this, like, since the morning, and I literally haven't eaten since 20 minutes ago. I had my first meal of the day, and it's 1:30 in the afternoon. Literally have just been doing this, so I'm, like, fired up about it, and I hope that that's coming across, and I don't want to seem like a Debbie Downer or anything like that. I just have to look at it from that perspective as well. And look, again, to anybody listening, definitely take Gary's advice, because if I was only looking at it from the lens of like, hey, I could lose my company, I'd probably be so fixated on that God forbid that would actually be the result of that. But like, that's not really what I'm focused on, if that makes sense, to your point.
100%. Yep. No, and I know that, and it creates urgency, right? And you always need that urgency. You always need that, that to push you forward. But also, that creates a lot of negative energy inside your company if you allow it to. So you have to take that, and you have to, not just for you. It's number one, it's unhealthy for you, right? Like, if you do this over and over and over again, and you do it for 10 years, which I've done, it creates a lot of stress on you, right? So for your sake, you need to reframe it. But then for your team's sake, they won't take that stress for 10 years. They just won't. Like, people won't.
Yeah.
So you need to reframe it for your team to help them through that this is, hey, this is a learning experience for me. This is great. Here's what I learned from it. Here's how we're going to fix it. And I'm super thankful that this happened when it did, because it's better that it happens now than in, a year when we have 30 more clients.
Oh, yeah. No, it's much better. No, I'm going to go back to the drawing board and build out these systems and stuff like that. We could probably, I know we talked about it earlier, we could probably do an entire 45-minute episode just on systems. And I think episode 2, we touched on it, I believe. Yep. When you went over you gave us the book, the Checklist Manifesto, and you explained to us the difference between a checklist and an SOP. But to anybody who's just listening right now, Gary, when it comes to building these systems and these checklists, what do you recommend? It should be the first natural step. Is there anything that you would give tips wise, like, hey, do this, other than what you said?
If you're sitting here listening to this and you're like, man, I love systems and I just want to go build the systems, you're probably not an entrepreneur. You might be, right? But you're probably not. Most of the system building people are not entrepreneurs. They're not going to be out there building businesses. You need to go hire somebody that can help you with that. Get a project manager, invest in it. It'll relieve so much stress off of you. It's massive, right? So that's number one. Number two, when we went from $300,000 to like $1.2 million, everything caught on fire. Everything. Like, every system that we had broke. Everything that was like duct taped together that we ignored for a long time, all broke, all at the same time. And it was devastating. It was so hard. I had so many calls from consultants and partners and clients going, hey, Gary, like, I'm hearing lots of bad things about your company. And I had to take a step back and say, hey, I'm going to fix this. You can count on me to fix this. I'll make anything right. I'll get back. But I got too much business. And I was very honest with people. I told people, I've never managed a company that's going to do $10 million or $15 million, So I was a $3 million company. I knew how to do that, but not 10 million, not 15 million. And so I said, I'm learning. I'm going to learn it, and I'm going to make it all right, and I'm going to clean it up. You have my word on that. And it took me a while to do it, and it took our team a while to do it, but we did it. And now we're back on top of it and cranking things out again. But it was a very, very stressful time. You're at the stage you're at right now, Derrik. You got a lot of room and a lot of time to do this. Like, that one thing that happened, that's awesome that you caught it at that level.
Yeah, I'd love to go, if we may, and if you don't want to, it's totally fine. Yep. But I'd love to go a little deeper into that, because I feel like I'm going through the same thing, but on a much smaller level. Like, I'm not going from 3 to 10 million, but I mean, I'm still hitting some crazy numbers to me that are still mind-boggling to this day, and pretty quickly. Like, we've added 10K in recurring revenue in the last 30 days since we first started this podcast. So I mean, that's a lot. It's a big jump.
You're way ahead of where I was at your age, right? Like, I was still in high school, so.
Yeah, a lot of my friends are in school right now too, but I have not. This is the most fun I've ever had in my life, and so I literally live my dream every day, and I could not be more grateful. On a side note, I took my family out for dinner yesterday. I know I told you about this. We went to this nice steakhouse, and I wanted to just celebrate with them a little bit, as I never get to do that, and they don't really know what I'm doing too much. I don't really tell them too much, but like, I kind of did a mini toast, and I was like, guys, I love you. Thank you for being by my side. And I told them I live my dream every day, and I couldn't be more grateful. And I have to thank you for that as well. Just as a side note, but I'd love to get more into this, Gary. So what was it like for you as the leader operating throughout this process?
It was extremely stressful. It was probably one of the hardest things that I ever gone through. There's a couple of really tough life situations that I've gone through, but that was up there. And it was not a short, like, hey, I'm just going to go in and solve this. It was root down, and then having a lot of tough conversations. I believe ownership is huge. It's one of our core values. I had to have a lot of talks with people where I was like, I couldn't go blame people, right? I couldn't be like, it was 100% on me. And I just had to tell people, like, I'm going to get this fixed. I didn't know. I bet that the economy would turn around and that we grew, but I didn't know that we had 3X, 4X, right? So
yeah,
in a super short window of time. So I had to go get things right with people and had to make a lot of adjustments and had to keep telling the team, like, hey, I'm going to fix this and you can count on me to do that. And we did. And that's what I'm most thankful about. And now it's not like my life is so much better now because of that. And now I know, like, growing from 15 million to 20 million or going to 30 million is not intimidating. I know what that feels like now, and I know how to get there. And so I'm thankful that I went through that, but it was a really tough, like 6 months, making it through that.
Yeah, I actually, interesting, because I heard this framework today on the drive over here to where I filmed the podcast, by Alex Hermosi. So Alex Hermosi was on a podcast, and he said this thing. He goes, I'm at a level right now where, for me, I don't need to build a business. I assemble a business. He's like, I just go find the people that I know need to do it to execute. Yep. I give them a stake, and I'm like, hey, here's your incentive for making this work. So he's like, I'm at a level where I don't need to build a business, but I need to assemble a business. But he said, but at the same time, he goes, I believe that everybody has to go through building a business at least once in their life. And then they get to a point, which it sounds like where you're at, you can assemble a business. You know, hey, I can find this person here. They're going to do A, B, C, and D, and I'll just assemble the right team.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have a roadmap mentally, right? Even if someone gave you a roadmap, it's still really hard to figure out. So it's good, though, because us going through this is going to help you speed so much faster.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. I think really, to sum it up and to make it in a concise way, that anybody going through something similar, like if you are feeling anything like I am right now, or you run a company and you're having this kind of operations issue, bottom line, Gary, you're saying to me, build an org chart, get super clear on the dream org chart, but first start with putting what I'm handling now, and then see like what I would need to give to somebody else to really let the company succeed. Most likely, I have a feeling sales and marketing are still what I should really be focusing on, but now I'm having a hand in so much of the other stuff, it's kind of bringing us down a little bit. So build out, once I have that clear, find a person who can be the project manager, who can build these systems, go in it, like, hey, here's what we need in the video editing side, here's what we need in the operations side, here's what we need in the account management side. Build those out in super detail, like in ClickUp or something, and then hire.
Yep, exactly. Now, what some people would do, like if to your point earlier, like somebody assembling a business, what they would do is they would hire a COO, right? And bring them in and say, hey, this is all a mess over here, organize that. But that's super expensive, right? Because you're going to need to hire that person plus a bunch of people underneath them. Plus, that person's going to want a ton of money. A good quality COO or director of ops is going to want a lot of money. So you need to – that's why I'm recommending a project manager at the point that you're at right now. Then you'll have a system. Then you start to bring people into that system and start to build leadership and things like that, which we'll get to that later. But right now, that's what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the logical next question is, because I like to always be prepared, and if I can have a jump on things, that's what I would rather do. I'm going to go back and do this. Like, this is going to be my thing. And in a week from now, when we film the next episode, I believe it'll be in a week from now, I want to be, like, done with this. Like, I want to be spending hours a day figuring this out. And maybe, who knows, I might not even finish it by then because it's a lot. Like, it really is a lot. It's basically doing the entire operation side of the entire company and trying to build it in a way where if I step back for a week, it could operate by itself. And that involves everything you're discussing plus hiring the people.
The paperwork, just putting it on the paper is super fast. You should be able to do that pretty fast. The actually executing it, it's going to take some time.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. At the same time, balancing, still giving the best customer experience, still generating results, all that stuff. But it's so much fun. I'm excited about this. But what should be the next thing that I look out for?
So the next thing that you're going to need to do are two things that I see coming. Number one is you're going to need to learn how to develop leaders. So as you grow, you're going to need leaders. So you're the only leader in the company right now. So departments are going to have to start to have leaders in that. And that's really daunting when you first do it. Because you're like, how do I do this? How do I nail this down? How do I get these people to perform? Something that will really help you with that is that by right now, you should start figuring out what winning looks like for each person and each department. So start really mapping out from a number standpoint, what does winning look like? Now, how you solve that, I think of it kind of like math. So you have a company goal. So let's say, I'm just going to make up a number. You have a company goal to get to $60,000 a month. Okay, how does each department contribute to that? So account management is retention. So what KPIs do the account managers need to hit to ensure that you get to that 60? Okay, we can't have any more. Our churn has to be at this, and our NPS score needs to be at this to be able to hit that goal. So then you have to train that person. It might be you for now. But you might have to train that person to think that way, right? To think through that lens. And then you need to go through every other department. So like the video editors might be speed, right? So they maybe they're speed and quality. So then you need to create a speed and quality score that ties into that final goal. So then as you start to define what winning is for each person, what you'll see is some people have an ability to win no matter what you put there. and then also help other people win, right? And then I can work with you on the framework of like how to develop a leader as well next.
So basically, it sounds like, no, I definitely want. I think that would help a lot of people too as we go through this step by step. I think at least what it sounds like to me is you're saying, especially as I do this org chart thing and as I start building these systems, what I should be building with it is the KPIs, right? It sounds like that's going to be really important.
That comes next. I would do the org chart first. Yeah, the org chart and the systems first. But yeah, the KPIs are really important just for company culture and all that stuff.
What about the systems for building the KPIs? The systems for tracking the KPIs. That's where systems get crazy.
No, yeah, that's. I wouldn't even worry about that right now. You're big enough right now. You can do this all in an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah,
got it.
Do it all.
So keep it small.
Yep.
Keep it small.
Keep it
do it with the level that I needed to do.
And don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Like build literally on a piece of paper with a pen, write out each thing, CEO, and then all the positions, and then write your name in each of the positions that you're living, and then write the names of people who have other positions, and then there's going to be some blank ones that you don't have hired yet, which is fine. And then from there, separately, you want to go into your org chart that you currently have, and then put what is our big picture goal. Make one goal for the whole company to hit. And then what is each department going to have to do to feed up to that goal?
Got it. And then basically you're saying reverse engineer the KPIs.
Yes.
So start from the big goal.
Make it simple.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, I'm not even saying share these KPIs with your team yet because there may be some friction on that, right? I'm just saying you need to get clear on that. Because before you can start having leaders and things like that, you need to know what Derrik, the leader, the ultimate leader, needs to know what winning is overall. If you don't know what winning is and you're just flying down the street and going as fast as you can, then you're going to have a really hard time developing leaders or keeping leaders.
But the question I have for you is this. When you say defining winning, how do I look at it? Do I look at winning on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, on a monthly, all of them, yearly, or do I have to do all of them?
No, the shorter the better. So most people don't know how to, if you go to a kid and you say, hey, I'm going to give you $100 if you can make your bed every day for a year, the kid's not going to win, right? You already know that. It's just too much. But if you said, hey, I'm going to give you $5 if you can make your bed for 5 days, the likelihood of that kid winning is way higher. Adults are the same way. There's very few people that are able to look at long-term goals. So shortening that and doing it on a week or bi-weekly basis is the best way to do it. The shorter you can make those KPIs, the better. But you do want to have like a goal of one goal that you're aiming for. It's usually top line revenue or something of that nature, but you want it, and you can always change it. That's the other thing. Like you can make your goals today and then execute on those and get really good at it where it's just second nature to you guys, and then change what your overall goal is. There's no rule on having to keep the goals the same.
Got it. No, that makes total sense. I got to say, this was a very helpful episode for me. I feel like we haven't done one like this in a while where I kind of presented like my specific problems and we've been focused more on like kind of the audience. But I got to say this was extremely valuable to me. I think genuinely thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now the framework on leadership, and I don't mean to overwhelm you because this is not where you're at yet, but just for those that are out there that might be listening, it's pretty simple. So, and I go through this all the time. I just went through this with some of our team members. So I have a team member that's overperforming, right? And they say, hey, I know I'm overperforming for my position and I want more opportunity. And I said, okay, no problem. Now I don't know if they can lead yet or not. And they're not sure either. They think they can, but they don't know. And neither of us know. So what I said is, hey, I'm going to give you an opportunity. I'm going to give you a project. Here's your project. Here's what winning looks like on this project. And I'm going to put 2 people underneath you, and then I'm going to check back on you. You know, we're going to talk a couple times, and we're going to watch this for the next couple months. That's it. No pay raise, no title change. And then if she performs, then I'm going to say, okay, here's your new title, and here's your pay raise for being able to manage that. And it takes a lot of stuff off of my plate directly, actually. So then I'm happy to elevate that, right? And pay her a little bit more, and for me to save time and go in and work on other projects. So that's how you develop leaders from within your team, is by giving them opportunities to lead. But you got to remember, you got to have frameworks first. So I built a bunch of frameworks for her to go work in. New leaders cannot usually, almost never can perform if you don't have any systems or any structure for them. If you just throw them to the wind and say, hey, go lead this person, and we don't know what winning is, we don't have any system to execute, they're not going to be able to win.
Yeah,
if they
no, that makes
if they
sense.
can win, you're probably going to lose them because they could probably go start their own business. Because that's what starting a business is, right? Going out with no structure, no strings, no safety net, and just going out and starting and just trying things until something works, right? That's what starting a business is. So if someone is that good, they'll probably go start their own business.
Yeah. That makes so much more sense. It really, really does. So get clear on the systems, get those in place, and then it'll become a lot easier to hire people. I think really the last thing that I'd ask you, Gary, and again, this is really niche for me, but anybody listening who, again, might be in a similar position, or even if you're just starting, right? It's very hard. If there's one thing I learned, even charging prices like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month for a service as a marketing agency, and even if you have 5-6 clients, it's very hard to find the right talent, right? Especially when it comes to the United States, like in the States. At what point do you think I should start just heavily considering, hey, I got to find people in the States and hire them full time and really look at it that way? Or do you think I shouldn't even be thinking about that?
Yeah, it's going to be hard for you from a margin standpoint. You're going to have to really have the economy of scales in your favor, and you're not close to that yet. So basically what that means is you can bring on accounts and your overhead doesn't change and your just profit keeps going up. That's when things really work in your favor, and you really have to get much bigger for that to happen. The other thing is like what you guys do. There's some of the stuff that you guys do that's like you have to have the brain behind it and the tactical person, and you're going to have to pay for that. And that's going to be you or maybe you and one other person for a while. And then you can outsource the editing and train the editing out to people who don't have that skill set. But over time, some of them will pick up that skill set. And I would think more about elevating those people than bringing people without. It's always, here's the funny thing. Your team will get really defensive, especially if you have a bunch of killers on your team, if you bring people from the outside. But what most people don't realize, it's way cheaper to bring people from within. Way cheaper. Because it's way cheaper for me, Derrik, if you and I work together and me to go, hey, I'm going to elevate you and pay you another $1,000 a month than just to bring a whole nother person in that I'm going to pay $10,000 a month, right? So it's way more advantageous for you to grow people from within. However, when bringing in like really high skill people, it'll be abundantly clear, look, no one on the team has this skill set. I've given everybody an opportunity. Now it's time to bring somebody in and set them in this seat.
Yeah, I mean, where my head goes, I know for a fact I mentally, I'm thinking 2-3 years, there's no way that I could handle the video production side, the client management side, and the sales side all at the same time every day. No. Like even just the video side of it. I think where my head goes is if I could find somebody who thinks like I do, because right now it's me. Like I tell the editors here, here's my vision. Here's what the client is seeing. Here's how I'm seeing it. Here's what we know works. Do it this way. And oftentimes, besides like one of my editors, I have to be very specific. Otherwise, the end product is not what we're looking for.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem I'm experiencing for sure.
Yeah. So there's two ways to look at that is, okay, these people stink, right? And they're not able to do it, or my system is not allowing that person to be able to capture that. So that's really the crux of your business is how do you figure out how to get this person to produce this thing from the information that we have. One person can do it, so it's possible, but how do you then translate that to other people?
Yeah, that's the problem. The question becomes like, is it just the person, him or herself? Like, do they have the creative mind for it? I don't know if that's the case or not. I know you recommended literally building out like an academy where like I can bring anybody in and train them. Like, here's how you do it. I just don't know if that's even like I'm thinking about it. I just don't know if that's even feasible or possible because I don't know if it's a natural talent. It's what I've been trying to figure out since day one. Like, is this something people are just born with, or is this something that can actually be learned and taught? I really don't know. I'm still figuring that out every day. We'll find out, I guess.
That's a tough one. That is a really that's actually at the crux of a lot of business questions, right? Of like, what point is it natural talent and what can be taught? I'm going to lean towards what you do can be taught. I think that you and this other person that are able to do it, you guys saw it and you guys were able to learn it, and I think you will be able to teach certain people that have a certain level of skill set. They have to have a level of skill set. And then again, this is where you go in and really build a system for the lowest common denominator. Because the term, the weakest, you're only as strong as your weakest link, it's 100% true. So how do I build a system that supports the weakest link, not the best, right? So you're probably building systems for the best, which is like you just emailing somebody really quick and saying, I need this. But that only services the best. You need to figure out the lowest common denominator and work up. You could hire better skill, but again, you're going to pay for that, and then the business model doesn't work, right?
No, that's exactly right. And I've been starting to test this theory. Like, hey, is this teachable? Because I started to do weekly video editor meetings, and I'd host a meeting, and I'd literally give just straight tips and instructions on, hey, try this, try this, try this, or like look for this. And then this week I'll see, did you guys execute on that? And I'll be able to pick up, like, are you guys improving? So I'm actually really testing that. And just so that I don't forget right now, I think one thing that I need to do is I need to write out a system in a document or a checklist on how to find the best hooks, how to identify it with tips and examples and stuff like that.
Yep.
I'm just saying that so I don't forget that, and I had to put that out there. But that's my next step. That really is. This was extremely
because there's a process to it, right? Like, I know people online try to make it sound like it's a this impossible thing, but there is a process to it. Now, culturally, there are some things you need to understand to tell a good story. So if you don't understand that
which is a big problem,
yeah. Culturally, that's a problem, because if I go to Spanish and Spanish is my second language, I'm gonna struggle with the language and struggle to know what's relevant and not relevant because I'm living in a different world than the people who are speaking Spanish, right? Like, it's a totally different way of thinking. So that's a problem that I think you need to face, where you're going to need that top tier talent to really help with that. But the bottom skill set after that hook is found and editing that out and making that work from there, that's a different skill set. And I do think that's 100% teachable to everybody.
Yeah,
or anybody who has video editing skills.
I've been thinking about it for a while, and I'd love for you to either shoot this down or tell me if this sounds like a decent concept. But, and this kind of will apply for anything in business. I don't know if this person would necessarily be a manager, but so when it comes to the work we do, the bulk of it and what we're paid for is not the editing, it's the storytelling. And you made me realize that myself when we first started the show. It's absolutely true. Like, we're paid to find the best clip, right? So if I have an editor who's an amazing editor, but not the best storyteller, meaning that they can't find the best clips, that's a problem on everything. Because you could take the worst clip, put the most beautiful lipstick on it, it'll still be a horrible clip. Is finding one person like me to manage the whole team of video editors, basically a producer, but their only job is to watch every single podcast and pick the clips and then send it.
Yeah, it's two separate positions for me, like, because you're trying to solve. It's much harder to solve when those people are together, right? But when you split them apart, now it's much easier to solve. All you need to do is be able to, can your video editors edit like this? Yes, great. Now we just need to find them a boatload of stories. And then now you can measure your bandwidth too, much easier. So you can say, how many stories can this person find by watching these clips if that's all they're doing all day? And then that's how big you can get. Literally, your company will never get bigger than that, assuming that you figured out sales and marketing, right? So let's say you have an infinity glitch of sales and marketing, right? So you just have as many opportunities as you want. How big can your company get? They can only get as big as the person who watches the stories and pulls those, or watches the videos and pulls the stories out. That's as big as you can get. Then your next bottleneck is, how many of those can we edit? Because you probably only need one story person for what, every 4 editors?
I honestly have no idea. This whole time I've been trying to build it out where an editor is a storyteller, and I've been able to find people like that, so that way it saves time. Like, they find the stories and they edit them, so it's all one person, and each show they do it. I don't know. That might be a thing to look into, like just finding somebody. I mean, that could be an investment to make, finding somebody.
Like for me, I could find the stories, but I couldn't do the editing.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Yeah. That makes sense. I have to give it some more thought. I think it's well, listen, it's worth giving a shot. At least it's a small scale, right? Like, I could bring somebody in.
You can totally train it because you've already trained it in the editors.
Oh, well, most of them, I think so. I think you're right. I think, honestly, giving it a shot, because I can always go back to the way it is now. Like, I can try it on a small scale. Like, any new business that comes in, I can hire a person. Hey, your only job, watch this and find the clips. Don't even edit them. And then
here's the cool part. If you get a younger person that already understands this and can already articulate it, they'll just come in and do it. Like, you don't even need a system for that kind of person. Like, they'll just come in and be like, yeah, these are the parts that I would pick it. Boom, 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 boom. Here's the main point. Boom. Like, there's already kids out there like that are literally understand it and just aren't doing anything with it.
Yeah, we'll call him the chief storyteller. I got to give it some thought. I think it wouldn't hurt. No, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. Well, listen, guys, I think all in all, to get really clear, I really hope that we provided value, and I think we did to those listening. I know it was very specific to me, but if you're intuitive enough to really pick out what we're really talking about, bottom line is as you grow, no matter what level you're at, you're going to go through, and I think, Gary, please correct me if I'm wrong because I'm literally regurgitating this. You've said this to me like 4 times. The slinky, right? It's going to go through the slinky, right? I hear this all the time, and I can't stop thinking about it. You got sales and marketing, operations, and there was a little more. In fact, I'd love for you to explain it. Onboarding.
Yeah. So you got, just think of your business like an assembly line. So don't think of it as this big ball, right? Think of it just like in a simple line, and you have a box that's going, or a widget that's going through your company. So where does the box go through first? It has to go through marketing. If no one knows your box exists, it doesn't matter. Then the next is sales. And if your sales can't sell, then your operations doesn't matter. And then it's onboarding, or for you, it's video editing or whatever, right? And then there's account management. And then there's the retention or the recurring or the upsell, or depending on what kind of business you have. And then you just start over again. And you're only as strong as your weakest link. So if sales, or if onboarding can only onboard 1 client a week, it doesn't matter that marketing and sales can bring in 10. So don't focus on marketing and sales. Just focus on onboarding. How do we get onboarding from 1 to 10? That's it. It's that simple. Business is that simple, and it never stops. You always go back around the slinky. And when you finish with 1, then you level up and you start over again. That is business in a nutshell.
Yeah, this is the first thing that Gary said to me when I first met him and during the first ever Discord, which was mind-blowing at the time. It was back in February of this year. Like he walked me through the slinky thing, and then he gave me this analogy. I haven't stopped thinking about it to date. It's exactly true. And right now, I'm in the operations part. If you are in that part as well, I mean, Gary said it. I mean, if you don't have an org chart, build out the org chart. Find somebody who can build out these systems. Build out the systems. Bring in the talent necessary within your means and within your budget to fulfill on those systems. And then as that happens, keep going through the slinky. Once that starts working properly, you'll move from operations to whatever that may be, fulfillment, sales, onboarding, and all that good stuff. Yeah, I mean, this was a lot. I have a lot of work to do, and I'm going to report back to you guys next week to keep myself accountable. I'm going to make this happen. This is
That's awesome,
100%.
man. Good job.
All right.
It's exciting.
Guys, thank you so much for watching episode 8 of the 8 Figure Agency Show. If you haven't already, please, if you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell. New episodes Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and hit that like button. Guys, leave a comment with your thoughts, please. We'll bring them up. Me and Gary love to read them. We'll talk about your comments. I've been getting some more comments on YouTube recently. I don't know if you've seen them, Gary, but some people are sharing their thoughts, which is exciting. If you're on Spotify, or if you're on Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, or Stitcher, or anything else, please leave a review. It means the world to us. It'll really help us get better. Gary, anything else that we should touch on?
Nope, you did a great job today. I'm super excited to see where this goes.
Lots of big things. Gary, thank you for your time, and whoever's listening or watching, thank you for being here. Let's go crush it.